Hi, everyone. Welcome to FemTech Forerunners. My name is Sanjana. This is a new segment by the Miara channel where we talk to pioneers in the FemTech field. What is FemTech? Software, diagnostics, products and services to better women's health. So today we have our very first guest, Ira Guha, founder and CEO of ASAN, a social enterprise with a mission to eradicate period poverty. Thank you, Ira, for joining us today.
Thank you. So excited.
So let's just start off. Let's dive right in. So we would love to know more about you and how the story of ASAN began.
Sure. So I grew up in Bangalore in India. And then I went to the UK for university and was working there for a couple of years. And the story of, I never set out to be a social entrepreneur. The story of ASAN started very organically over a long period of time. So while I was living in London, working in consulting, I was, for my periods, using a menstrual cup, which is, a sustainable alternative to tampons. It's reusable. And I was mainly using it because it was eco-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And on one trip home to Bangalore to visit my parents, my mom's cook, part-time cook, she had actually missed out a couple of days of work.
Mm-hmm.
And we just thought that, she was sick or she had a fever or something. And then when she came back to work, her name's Mary. I just said, "Oh, Mary, what happened? You feeling better?" And it turned out she wasn't sick. She literally just had her period. And she was using these super low quality sanitary pads that were being distributed at the time that were giving her really bad rashes and a UTI. I asked her to bring the pads in because I was shocked. I was like, "You didn't come to work because you had your period?"
Yeah.
And it wasn't even because of cramps or something like that. It was just because the pads were so bad quality. So she brought them in and I looked at them and they were literally like diapers. Like it was, I was shocked. And so I showed her my menstrual cup and I told her what it was. And this was just like a very one-on-one interaction. And I said, "Do you want to try this? I can bring you one when I come next time." And she said, "Yeah, sure." And she took to it like this.
Okay.
Like she found it so easy to use. She could work on her period. She could, she was comfortable. She didn't have to miss out on wages and stuff like that. And then she said to me, can I have one for my niece? Can I have one for my sister? And then my parents actually live like in the hills in India near Uti, and we gave it to all the domestic workers there. And it just was this like organic thing of like and at the time there were no menstrual cups in India.
Right.
And then I was doing a master's in the US a couple of years later, and I was still spending like $300 to bring back 10 menstrual cups just to give to domestic workers I knew. And then I think that, and the master's was also, it was in public policy, and I was starting to think more about social impact. And I think that's the point where I sat down with some professors and I was like, "Look, there must be a way we can work together to make this more affordable and widespread." And that's how ASAN started.
Okay, that's super interesting. And one of the things in your mission is you want to eradicate period poverty. A lot of people don't know what period poverty is. So could you just like tell our viewers what it is?
So period poverty, very simply, is not being able to afford a safe way to manage your period every month. And it could be it could be that you can afford low quality pads, but they give you rashes. That's still period poverty. It could be that 1 month you can afford pads, but then the next you don't have the money for them, so you have to switch back to rags. But it doesn't stop there. The point we're trying to make when we talk about period poverty is that it is something that limits you from participating in daily life. So because you can't afford safe period products, you are either not being able to go to school, you're missing out on work, you can't even do daily chores around your house. Perhaps you're not able to conceal the fact that you're on your period, which means that you're shamed or stigmatized. So period poverty is a very basic limiting factor, which means you can't participate in the economy or in school or in life.
Right.
And 50% of women and girls, across the world to some extent suffer from period poverty. So it's really something that impacts billions of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, your signature product right now is the ASAN menstrual cup. So what is unique about the ASAN menstrual cup?
So I have the ASAN cup here to show you. And so ASAN did not invent the category of menstrual cups. Menstrual cups have been around for some time. So they're a reusable product made from silicone, which lasts for years.
Right.
But what ASAN did is we spent 2 years at the Harvard Innovation Lab creating a menstrual cup that was much easier to use. The reason we did that was because, all the women in our focus group who we were working with did have some difficulties with the menstrual cups they were using. So we really, studied the products, figured out the pain points and tried to innovate and make it better. And this is the fourth version of the ASAN cup.
Okay.
So I can just tell you, a couple of things that are different. Firstly, this ring, which obviously stands out as different, is good. One of the, when in all of our focus groups, the biggest issue that people were facing was removal, because obviously this is inserted into your vagina, and if it travels up quite high, it can be quite stressful to remove. So the ring is just going to make it much easier to locate and bring lower.
Okay.
Then, even in terms of the engineering and the design, it's a bell shape, which is much more comfortable in the vagina. It's even the rim and the thickness of the cup have really been engineered to be comfortable and not to leak. We also have a special size that's engineered for people with really heavy flow, not to leak. And then also another really special thing is that our cup never discolors, because a lot of menstrual cups after a couple of uses, they start going brown or they discolor and then people throw them away. And that completely defeats the purpose of it being sustainable and reusable for 10 years. So we try to get it just perfect. So, literally 10 years from now, your cup will look exactly the same.
Okay, that's really fantastic. And so, like, in your opinion, and I think you are doing that, you're breaking down a lot of stigmas associated with menstruation, which exists not only in India, but in a lot of countries. So what are like the barriers and the challenges you are facing to make women adopt the menstrual cup and the ASAN cup, for example?
So I think, when we started working on this project, all our advisors, everyone I told I was doing this said, start with older women, because, they might have had kids. So they know more about their anatomy. A baby's come out of there, they can put something in. And, a lot of people talked about this huge insertion taboo. People are scared of insertion. So start with mothers. And it's everything we have worked on and all our experience in the field almost shows it flipped to be the reverse.
Really?
And the reason for that, I think, is that humans are habit forming, right? So if you have used sanitary pads for 15 or 20 years, if you're 40 years old and you've used pads your whole life, you're used to them. You almost forget how uncomfortable they are. You don't really think about how unsustainable they are. So the impetus to change is not there. Whereas we find with teens or with people in their early 20s, and this is because they're younger and they don't have those habits, but it's also because they are more eco-conscious. They are following Greta Thunberg on Instagram. They want to do something positive for their bodies and for the environment. So weirdly, we find the most openness even in rural areas coming from young girls and teens,
really?
and people in their 20s who are sometimes even facing barriers from their mothers, because they come to us and they say, we really want the ASAN cup, but then their mothers are very scared about it. So we do have to do a lot of work and a lot of education about, using this cup is nothing to do with virginity. It's you can only lose your virginity by having sex. Using an insertable period product has nothing to do with that. But strangely enough, a lot of that education is actually aimed at the older audience, because the younger audience is so ready to adopt it.
That's amazing. And that's very interesting, because I would have, of course, thought it would be easier the other way around, right? But the one thing is that you're a social enterprise. So could you explain what is the social part of your, your company? Like what is the impact?
ASAN's mission, as you said, is to eradicate period poverty. And the way we do that is that we sell the ASAN cup to everybody who can afford it all over the world. And then for every one we sell, we donate one for free to a person who can't afford it. So essentially we redistribute our profits that way. So our donations happen mainly in rural India. We partner with women's health NGOs, who have decades of experience already working in maternal health and have existing relationships with women and girls in villages. We give the cup to the NGO workers to try themselves, to get comfortable, and then we kind of partner with them to distribute it to the low-income women. And with whether it's the people who buy our cup, or the ones who get our cup for free, one thing that ASAN really specializes in is following up for 3 months to make sure that the product is working, to answer all of your questions. We have an amazing this illustrated user guide, which we worked on gynecologists to make, and this user guide now comes in every single Indian language. So if you're in Karnataka and you're getting this product for free, you'll get the user guide in Kannada, you'll get it in Hindi, you'll get it in Tamil, you'll get it in Malayalam, and along with the user guide, you'll get a 20-minute video on WhatsApp, which really takes you through like very slowly, step by step, all the fears and the questions you might have. And then obviously we do workshops in person as well. So it's not just a product, it's almost a program, because we do make sure, that everyone who gets it has the resources they need to use it. And we do find that at least 9 out of 10 people 3 months later are using it and loving it and would never go back to a sanitary pad.
Okay, that's really amazing. But what is the accountability for the user? Like, suppose I've bought a ASAN cup and I'm, because of your social enterprise and everything, and how do I know that whom it's donated to? Is there some kind of accountability for that?
So the way it works is, so say Sanjana buys the ASAN cup, we're not going to then map you onto a specific person and say Sanjana's ASAN cup went to X person, because to be frank, that's not a good use of our time.
Yeah, right.
We'd rather spend our time actually, helping users learn how to use it. The way we do it is we do it every quarter. So at the end of every 3-month period, we just total up all the ASAN cups sold. So say we've sold, at the end of a certain period, 1,000 cups. Then we have NGOs sort of waiting, like a network of NGOs and we would have already brought them to the sort of phase where they're ready to scale. So in the background, while we're selling, in the background, what we're doing is we're doing the groundwork. We're giving the NGO workers the cup. We're holding their hand. We're training them through it. We're showing them all of ASAN's user material and helping them, train other users. So then when we get to the stage that we've sold those 1,000 cups, that NGO is then ready to accept 1,000 donations and quickly get it out there. Then it's on the NGO. They keep the record of all the beneficiaries who they give the cup to, and we always do, field visits with them. And honestly, if you want to know how our donations work, just go to our Instagram.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. I mean, that's a great way to follow whom you're donating to. Your Instagram
exactly. Actually, this morning our team is in a couple of villages around Kanakapura, just shadowing the NGO who's doing the donation. So just go onto our Instagram stories today and you'll see a lot of the women getting it. Yeah.
Right. That's really fantastic. So what's next for ASAN and, your journey with ASAN?
So it's all about expanding and scaling. I mean, eradicating period poverty really is about getting this to hundreds of millions of people. We aren't thinking small at all. So we're expanding our commercial sales in the UK and Europe this year. That's something I'm super excited about, because I know that there's a lot of demand for this product, and also that people in these countries really buy into our social mission.
Right.
So we should be launched and available there by the end of the year. That's super exciting. And we're also really scaling our donation programs across India. We started in South India because we're from Bangalore, but we're now working with partners in UP and Gujarat, and we're making a lot of new local language content. We're doing a lot of Hindi content. So it's all about becoming bigger and bigger now. And we're hiring, we're growing our team.
Fantastic. That sounds really great. We didn't actually go into this, but can you just say briefly about the sustainability aspect of using a menstrual cup versus other period products?
Yes. I think we didn't go into it because I think it's obvious, but it's actually really not, right? Okay. Right. So this one ASAN cup is reusable for 10 years. It's all you need for your entire period cycle. You don't need many of them. And as I said, because of the quality, it will last for 10 years. Now that's going to be equivalent to 2,500 sanitary pads or tampons that one individual can avert from going to landfill. But if you think of that, at scale, right, it becomes into, again, hundreds of millions of pads and tampons, which are literally just filling up, like football fields worth of them are filling up in our landfills. But it doesn't just end there, because if you think about it, especially in a developing country like India, in the West, your waste is kind of managed and goes straight to a landfill. In India, we have waste pickers who physically pick apart and segregate waste. And, because if you take a sanitary pad, it's not, obviously it's not biodegradable because it's made from plastic, but at the same time, it's not wet waste either, right? And it's not recyclable because it's soiled, which means that literally someone physically picks apart the different layers of a sanitary pad, and that is a huge risk to their health. And of course, they don't have adequate PPE. And very often, researchers have found that it's the male waste pickers will say, well, this is like women's waste, so we don't want to touch it. So it's always the female waste pickers who have to do it. And even there it becomes gendered. And so this entire kind of supply chain of a sanitary pad is so problematic. So if you think about it, just switching to this one menstrual cup is going to avert so much waste, but it's also going to be so much healthier for people who have to deal with that waste. And the impact is just enormous.
And it's not only the sustainability impact, it's also the health impact, right? You can avoid these rashes and the UTIs and all these infections which possibly come through using bad quality sanitary products.
Yes, and even the tampons that you get in the West, they have pesticides, they have plastic in them, they've got all kinds of things that you're inserting it into your body and we don't even know what it's made of. So there are huge health benefits to switching to a menstrual cup.
Okay, that really sounds great. And I have to tell you, thanks to the ASAN cup, I'm a convert. I've been toiling with using a menstrual cup for like a decade now, and finally I found my right fit. So I'm super happy and excited that I've started using the ASAN cup. So yay!
So happy to hear that. Yes, amazing. Well done.
So yeah, so great. Thank you for being with us and talking to us about your work and the ASAN Cup. And for anybody who needs more information, we'll have a link in the description box, and you can also use the Miara code for a discount with the ASAN Cup, but all the information will be in the description box. Any parting words, Ira, for our viewers and our audience?
No, just to say thank you for the really awesome work you do at Miara, busting myths about, just everyday health topics and making, things that we all kind of a little bit shy and too scared about mainstream. I think you guys are doing a great job, and we're super happy to be partnering with you.
Yeah, thank you. And we are super happy to be partnering with you as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.